Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Stop Complaining, Work Harder. I'm Carey Davis with a face for radio right here from the Work Harder studios, and I do this in order to give new supervisors the benefit of my mistakes. So, a little bit about me: 33 years in the federal government. I worked for Department of Justice with the INS, DHS with Customs and Border Protection, and DOT with the Pipeline and Hazardous Material Safety Administration. Um, of that 33 years, 25 of which I was a manager, everything from a first line supervisor all the way up to the C-suite and executive work in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. So I've done a lot of things. I've made a ton of mistakes. I learned from them. I've also been a keen observer of people that worked for me and with me and how they did things. Training in the government for managers, supervisors, even upper level managers generally is awful. So you're never going to learn what you need to learn, um, through training. You get a baseline, but it's not what you need to learn. So the only way to do it is through experience. That experience can be really, really, really tough and painful, or it can be mostly tough and painful. But it's always going to be tough and painful. But that's enough about me. I'm here to help you. Listen to me, don't listen to me, your call. But all I can do is tell you what I've been through, my observations, and my theory on how these things work. Management is distinctly different from whatever job you have. Let's say your job is grant management. So you're managing the issuance of grants. Fantastic. You learned how to take put out a notice of a financial opportunity or NOFO, and then get responses from potential grantees, and then determine who's worthy and what amount, and then put those grants out there. That's a government job that goes across the spectrum. A lot of agencies do it. It is its own skill set. It's a very clear skill set. Okay, but that doesn't make you a manager of people. It doesn't make you a supervisor. They're going to hire you as a super. If you're really good doing your job, you're probably going to get promoted to supervisor. And then you're going to get some training that has absolutely no bearing on what it's like actually dealing with the people with whom you were once one of the guys or one of the girls. And next thing you know, you're trying to deal with these people at a level that's very different. You're giving them work assignments. You're rating them. You're bringing them in and literally judging them. I love hearing young people today say, "Don't judge me." You're a supervisor. That's your job. You judge people. You judge their performance, their interaction with their colleagues, and how they interact with you every single day. That's your job, is to do that. And if you're not comfortable judging people, you need to get comfortable real quick. This is the 9th episode. What I wanted really to do was go over a few of the big things we've talked about in previous episodes, because they're going to be a recurring theme over and over and over, because they're so important in this. And the first thing I want to recap is management, supervision, and leadership are three very different things. They all intertwine. Management and supervision intertwine very closely, and then leadership is sort of above the two, touching them. They're all three different disciplines, and you can go back and watch the other episodes to get quick blurbs of what I think the differences are. But the true outlier is leadership. And it sounds the coolest too. So when you get management training from your agency, they're probably going to call it leadership training. I doubt you're going to get a whole lot of leadership instruction out of it, because they're just not, people aren't equipped to teach something that has to be innate or understand human nature and how people react and act to your actions. Because that's what a lot of leadership is. Some people are natural born leaders. They're charismatic. They can walk in a room and command attention no matter what. Other people have to earn it. But everyone, once you have that leadership quality, has to maintain it. You have to maintain it through your integrity with your staff. If you don't know something, it's important that you just tell your staff, "I don't know the answer to that." Don't use one of the words from bullshit bingo that we always go over at the end of these episodes, because they're going to know that you're full of crap. And people can sense that on a leader. They can sense when you're lying. They can sense when you're scared. They can sense when you don't know what you're doing. And the worst and most unforgivable sin any leader can give is being unsure of them, or appearing unsure of themselves, or giving a clue that they might be lost and frittering away. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You'll never be a leader again. People will remember it. People will talk about you. And the word will get around, stay away from this person because they're not worth a damn at being a leader. And being a leader is what will override all your other skills. I don't care if you're the best federal law enforcement officer in the world. I don't care if you're a super cop. If you're the supervisor and you're not leading your people and you're not viewed as the leader, you're worthless. You're not good as a supervisor. You're not good as a manager. We've established that you're no good as a leader. And frankly, people will stop respecting your work as a law enforcement officer as well. So once you take that step to become a supervisor, once you take the bait on that extra couple of $100 every 2 weeks in your paycheck to take on all this responsibility, you have to be a leader. You got to step up. And being a leader doesn't mean people love you. I had a great supervisor once who told me, best lines I ever heard: if everybody loves you, if your entire staff loves you, you're being a terrible, terrible manager. And the reason for that is every time you make a decision, someone doesn't get what they want. So if there's a crowd of 50 people and you make a decision, 15 of those people are going to be upset with you, and they're not going to forget that. Doesn't mean they don't respect you because you made a decision, and that brings its own respect. But they don't like the decision you made. They may not like you personally. That's the other thing. A lot of people won't like you personally. That's okay. Get used to it. That's how life is. People don't like you. The line forms on the right. It'll be okay. So anyways, I digressed after I digressed. But nonetheless, leadership is one of the most important. It's probably the most important quality you can carry. The problem is the government never trains to leadership. Not in the civilian world anyway. In Department of Defense and the military, this is what they lean on really hard. Leading in the civil service is a whole different ball of wax. There's some commonalities, not many, because it just takes more. It takes more to lead in the civil service, especially in what I call an executive position. That doesn't mean you're an executive. It means your position executes. You actually have to go out and do things. You're not pushing paper. But you have to be a leader. Leader first. Management, you got to be able to manage your time, resources, division, everything like that. A good manager isn't necessarily a good leader, but a good leader is always a good manager. Supervision is its own ball of worms. That's dealing with the people, dealing with their personality, dealing with their performance, dealing with their issues, dealing with their issues at work. And oftentimes, and you're going to run into this, you got to deal with their issues at home too, because they will bleed into work. I've seen it over and over and over and over, and it's really tough bringing other people's problems into your life, but that's part of the job. One of the things I think a lot of new supervisors run into that they're not expecting is that the people who were just their friends a few months ago now see them as A, the agency, or B, some kind of leader that whether they've proven themselves or not, and definitely someone that they can look up to. And I don't mean look up to in a good way. I mean, they're going to look to you to solve their problems. And a lot of times, and this is a tough talk to have with people, and it's tough to say it in a way that doesn't sound crass, but a lot of times you just got to look them in the eye and calmly say, that's a problem you need to address. You need to deal with your personal life. I can't fix that for you. A lot of times they just want to be heard. As a matter of fact, I'd say 90% of the time people come to complain or cry to you, they're really just looking for someone to listen to them. Most of the time, the right thing to do is to simply hear them out. You don't have to agree with them, just hear them out. And a good answer a lot of times when they're upset is, I just don't know what to say. Because you don't. But if you say, I know how you feel, no, you don't. No, you don't. And that's the first thing that's going to run through their mind is, no, you don't know how I feel. So all these are aspects of supervision. But like I said, they intertwine. Management and supervision are probably 70% intertwined. And leadership sort of dips down in the Venn diagram of all this. The leadership sort of goes down into about 20% of the Venn diagram. So, they're all separate skills. You can work on them separately. You can work on them together. But that's the first recap point I want to go over. The next one, which in my mind is just as important, and so let me go back. There's a lot of things I talk about when I say how to talk to people, and I say, be careful how you say these things and do this, and you're protecting yourself. Because what a lot of people don't realize is when you go from being one of the team to the boss, you've lost all of your protection. The union protection, the idea of a boss who's looking out for you, the agency looking out for you. You've lost all that. It's you. You're on your own. And if you don't figure that out quickly, you'll have it figured out for you very quickly. You're on your own. Great line in a movie, early 60s, called Zulu with Michael Caine. I think it was his first movie. He's a British officer in South Africa, and he turns to his fellow officer and he says, when one assumes command, one does so alone. This is an important lesson. Again, learn it or it will be taught to you. So, having said that, when I bring up the second point, which is electronic communication discipline, you understand why I lean on it so hard. Nothing will get you in trouble. Nothing will affect your job. Nothing will affect your work product in today's world like writing something on the computer, whether you send it via email, which I know is the old-fashioned way, the old fuddy-duddies like us like to communicate, or, pick your platform, whatever your platform for messaging is. It'll change by the time this video comes out, whatever the younger people are using. It doesn't matter how secure you think it is. Text messaging, even on your private computer, messages on your private phone and your private computer are not private. They're not private, no matter how private you think they are. I don't care how encrypted you think that software platform is. I don't care if it says it deletes the messages 10 minutes after you send it. All of that is a lie, and all of those messages can and will be found. And it's usually by someone who's attacking you or your work product. Stay off the computer. Electronic Communications Discipline, ECD. You use electronic communications when they're necessary, but never, ever, ever use them casually. Never state your feelings about anything in electronic communications when dealing with work. And be careful of your personal electronic communications because they'll be used against you. So when I was with CBP, sort of the, early 2000s, social media is starting to become a big thing and everybody gets on it. And suddenly everybody's doing Instagram and all these other things and Facebook. And people started making public statements about how they felt. Guess what? You go to court to prosecute a criminal and the defense attorney says, hey, Agent Davis, I see here on your Instagram, now this didn't happen, I'm just making it up to me, but I've seen it happen to other people. I've seen here on your Instagram that you don't like Indian food. Well, my client's Indian. You must have a base dislike of all Indians. Well, that's not true. It's the furthest thing from the truth. It is true that I don't care for Indian food. It's a different reason, but there you go. It doesn't mean I like or dislike any one group of people, but the attorneys are going to use that. And when you put it out on public social media, they're going to see it. The first thing they're going to do is run a search of everything that you have done. So, let's say, going back to my DOT days, let's say there's a rulemaking pending about how to package a certain chemical. It could be any chemical. But the new packaging that the government wants to push, because it's safer than the old packaging, is going to cost the industry millions of dollars to retool, and they think the old packaging is perfectly safe. This happened quite a bit. But it becomes contentious, and the next thing you know, you're in court. And let's say Carey Davis wrote this rule, drafted this rule for approval, or worse yet, Carey Davis is acting for the associate administrator and I've got to sign off on the rule. Well, the first thing they're going to do is go through my social media to see if I've made any comments or otherwise said something disparaging about anything. And then when we go to court, that's going to be brought out. And the next thing they're going to do is have all of my emails pulled and text messages and any other social media I might use to see if I've said anything about this rulemaking. And then they're going to take whatever I said, they're going to take it out of context, and they're going to put it back, insert it back as a defense argument. And you don't think it's possible. Happens every day, all the time. And people and law enforcement, I promise you, after 30 years in it, law enforcement thrives on people being foolish. And so do defense attorneys, and so do trial lawyers, and so do industry groups, and anyone who wants to deny you what you need to get done in your job. They'll take it out of context, they'll twist it around and shove it right back up where the sun don't shine because you were foolish. And instead of picking up the phone and talking to another human being, you got on the email and people say, Carey, you talking about these young people? No, us old people are just as guilty of it. I'm just as guilty of it. I'm telling you this strongly, not because I'm some holier than thou guy. I've done it. I've been caught by it. Everybody has. It's a part of life in the 21st century. But I can't emphasize enough, stay off the goddamn computer and phone and pick it up. Talk to a human being, preferably face to face. Have ECD, electronic communication discipline. The other thing we talked about in this series is leading up. Go to your boss. If you feel strongly about something, if you see a better way to do something, if you can make your agency, the government, the country, your staff better, go to your boss and lead your boss. Don't be scared. Walk in the room and say, boss, I got an idea. Boss, before you cut me off, just hear me out. Please, just listen to my story. And a good supervisor will sit down and listen to you. They may not take your advice, but at least you took the time and put it up there. And one of the things, when I was having this talk that I failed to bring up, it's very important. You and your supervisor should have a relationship where generally behind closed doors, you can call them by first name. Hey, Steve. Hey, John. Hey, Larry. Hey, Felicia, come here. Talk to me. That's fine behind closed doors. That's fine inside the office. But the moment the two of you walk into a public setting to have a meeting or any interaction with someone from outside that intimate setting, you need to revert to titles and last names. It's a sign of respect. It's showing the people you're talking to that they should respect your boss because you respect your boss. So it's, hey, John, man, we got to talk about this, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and I got these ideas, and it's great. And John says, okay, Carey, let's go to the meeting. And we walk into the meeting. Okay, Director Smith, please proceed. You have the floor. Again, showing you have respect for your boss, so the people you're talking with will have respect for your boss. Very, very, very important to know that cutoff line. So that's that topic. And one of the other topics we talked about that I want to go over, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, but your jobs, you have two main jobs as a supervisor. Two main jobs. One of them is to make work assignments. That's clear. That's what I went over hard. The other one, and it's extremely vital, is to make decisions. You're going to make bad decisions. You're going to make good decisions. Your decisions should always be thought through. If you don't have time to think them through, you should have enough background to make a decision. And one of the most vital tools to decision making is understanding when you have a bit of leeway for time so you can come back and collect more information. It's a rare decision you have to make where you simply have no time. You got to make it right then. But you can be deliberative about 99% of the time. And that's broken up into two categories. There's decisions you can make, and you've got, let's say, a lot of time, 2 weeks to make a decision. Then you can be very deliberative, very strategic, like playing chess. If I do this, how's it going to affect that 2 months from now? Once that 2 months goes by, what's it going to look like in 2 years? These are the kind of decisions where you call your staff in, you go through each member of your staff. What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? And you listen to all of them and you collect the input. And you may not do what all of them suggest, but you've gotten their information and their ideas, and then you formulate your decision based on that. And the other type is, hey, Mr. Davis, we've got to have this product done in an hour, or the boss wants this product in 10 minutes. Not a lot of time for interaction with my staff. Not a lot of time to take in information, but I've been doing this job, and I know what my staff is capable of, and I know what we're capable of, and I can take the information that I already have up here, deliberate, a bit, and say, okay, this is going to be our path forward. Now, a lot of times you'll go in and your boss is better than you at the strategic thinking. And you walk in and you say, boss, this is what I think we're going to need to do. We can do X, Y, and Z, and we'll have it done in 2 weeks. And the boss will say, yeah, but what's going to happen in 2 months? What am I going to be doing this time next year when your plans have matured and they're not good enough? So you need to come back with a better idea for me, Carey. Okay, that's fair. But anyway, make the decision and let your staff know you've made the decision. And do that by when you have your discussions with them. So I've made a decision. This is the way we're going to move forward. State it. They'll see that and respect that, whether they agree with your decision or not. And it falls back into your leadership. So that's where management and supervision, the decision-making process, connects to your leadership ability. I've made a decision. This is how we're going to move forward. You're leading, but you're also showing that you manage the process, and now you're supervising them into the change you're going to make or the project you're going to start. So that's a recap of some of the taller points, some of the management principles I've been trying to impart. The other episodes are great too. Please go back and watch them. Hit like, subscribe, push the button, whatever the platform you're getting this on makes you want to do. But let me go on another tangent before I close this out. It reminded me, your boss calls you in the office and you give them the idea and they say, it's not going to work for whatever reason. Okay, great. But sometimes they call you in the office and you or your staff have done something foolish. Done something you wish you hadn't done. I don't know what that might be, but I can tell you this. If you've made it to be a supervisor without ever taking an ass chewing from your boss or ever, getting dressed down, sometimes a letter counseling, even a letter reprimand for some things you've done, sometimes it's because you're stupid, and everybody's stupid a little bit. And sometimes it's because you took a risk. And 90% of risks people take fail for whatever reason. I've thrown them out there and failed many, many, many times, a lot more times than I've been successful. And one of the most important things to remember is you can have 1,000 successes and one failure destroys them all. Destroys them all. And there's evidence of that on TV every day. Just watch some of these politicians. They're great people, they're heroes, and then one day they're zeros because they did something foolish. And that's how it works. But you can always, the nice thing about the civil service is you may have to move offices. You may have to go somewhere else. Or you can stay where you're at and work your ass off. Even the largest failure you can climb out of by working hard. By putting your nose down, stop complaining, work harder. Sound familiar? So anyways, when your boss, but what I want to talk about is there's an art to taking an ass chewing. There is. And it takes, for some people, it's almost an impossible thing. I've seen the most steady, calm people you could ever imagine either fly into a rage or break down and cry the moment they're told they've done something wrong. I don't know. Everybody's got different personalities. What I can tell you is the most important thing to do is stay cool. Just like we said, when you're talking, when you're giving the ass chewing, when you're having the hard talk, stay cool. Talk in a low, steady voice. Accept what your boss is telling you. One of my favorite ass chewings, I was a very young officer, and it was funny because I didn't deserve it. I was doing immigration work, and back then there were immigration and customs. It was before CBP. And there was a person with an outstanding warrant coming through. And Deputy U.S. Marshals had shown up at customs downstairs to pick this person up. And he came through my line, apparently. Well, there was no computer hit. There was no notification to me. No one told me. He was a U.S. citizen, so I let him go, which is what you do. And the next day, Customs had gone to my port director and complained that I missed this computer lookout. And when I walked in his office, my boss was, I love this guy, but he was so angry. He was literally jumping up and down while he was yelling at me. Jumping up and down. He was so angry. I think he was just embarrassed that Customs, it felt like Customs had got one over on us. And he was pissed and just yelling and screaming. I said, Willie, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's yelling at me. And then another I walked out and I was bewildered. I was truly bewildered. I think I was about 23 years old. I don't know what I've done. Another supervisor came up and he said, great guy. He comes in very calm and he says, Carey, let's go back and look and see what happened. And we went through, and you can go, so the way computers work, even back then, 30 something years ago, you could go and look at every keystroke I did. And it was obvious their hit never came up. And so we took that back and it turned out fine. But, you'll see that, and then you'll see other supervisors who are really calm and straightforward. I've had bosses that, you could time how long it would take them to start screaming and yelling at you in any meeting. One we used to take bets on. That's a whole different story. But the point is, when you're getting yelled at, do not get upset. For some people, that's very hard. Almost impossible in some instances. But when you're getting yelled at, you stay calm. You look them in the eye. You show no fear or nervousness. They're yelling and screaming at you. Or worse yet, they're speaking to you in a monotonous, low voice, which is the way I like to do it. But you just look them in the eye and listen to them. And when they're done, and you let them talk all the way through, don't interrupt. Don't try to make excuses. Do not make excuses for what you did. Listen to them. Sit there. And then say, you're right. I should have thought that through better. We should have done it differently. Won't happen again, boss. And then don't ever let it happen again. If you say won't happen again, don't let it happen again. And if you're getting chewed out for something one of your staff did, you take your ass chewing, and then you go down and you call whoever did that into your office, and you give them a worse ass chewing. And however they take it, you let them know that they caused you problems and shit rolls downhill. And do it in a way that they'll never forget. It is vital that shit rolls downhill. Do not protect your staff from it. Correct your staff. If they're the ones. If you did it, you're being corrected. Take it as constructive criticism, however ugly it is. And use it. Put it in your pocket. Make it part of your training, because life is nothing more than a strong series of training in real time. So take it as part of your training, adjust the way you do business, and move forward. So that's my best advice on taking ass chewings. Let's close out the episode with another round of bullshit bingo. Now, before I go into it, I'm going to put my email address at the bottom of the page. As my wife reminded me last night, email is a dead platform, but not for me because I'm old. So send me emails, give me constructive criticism or non-constructive criticism. Hell, if you want to insult me, I'm right here. Call me names. I kind of enjoy it. But if you got a story to tell, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you disagree with something I said or have an experience that goes along with something I said, let me know. Let's have a conversation. I'm just trying to help you out so you don't make the same mistakes I did. So with that said, we're going to do bullshit bingo. This is a particularly good phrase. It's actually useful sometimes, but it does come from civil servants trying to sound smarter than they are. And that phrase is moving forward. Sometimes they'll say going forward. And what that really means is in the future, as you know, when you screw this up again, that's what they're really trying to say. But so you'll take that ass chewing. And at the end of the ass chewing, your boss is going to say, well, moving forward, this is how I want to see it done. Yes, boss, no problem. Here, whatever you need, right here. I got you. Sometimes it'll be used in a very snarky way, particularly, and I love my lawyers. I love them, but counsel loves to be snarky about crap like this. So it's, moving forward, we need to do this a little bit differently. Okay, whatever. But if you really think about it, using a phrase like this is kind of absurd. Not moving forward. Hey, next time this comes around, think differently. In the future, do something different. Come on. But they love to say moving forward or going forward. And, it's bullshit. So that's when we play bullshit bingo. Remember, the game of bullshit bingo is, and you don't need me to tell you these words, you hear them probably every day, particularly if you're in Washington, is if 3 of your friends are going into a meeting with you, everybody writes down 5 words, and then the first person whose 5 words are said in the meeting has to say bingo loud enough for everyone in the room to hear it. That's the game. That's how I learned to do this. It's a lot of fun. Anyways, I'm Carey Davis, right here in the Work Harder Studios. Thank you for everything. Please stay in contact with me. There's more to come, more learning to do. Everybody take care, and we'll see you soon.